All right, today we're diving into human resource management. And I know, that can sound a little corporate, but trust me, it's so much more than just jargon. It's really the blueprint for how any great organization builds and manages its most important asset, its people. So let's get into it.
And this idea from Patty McCord, who was instrumental at Netflix, just nails it. It really sets the stage for everything we're going to talk about. See, the goal isn't just to fill seats. It's about building a team of what she calls A players. You know, those top performers who not only crush their own jobs, but actually make everyone around them better. So, the big question is, how do you actually do that? Well, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through the whole organizational blueprint. First, we'll define the goal, what we're calling the A player blueprint. Then, we'll hit the 4 key stages: recruitment, selection, training, and then wrapping it all up with the performance appraisal. So first up, the A-player blueprint. Because before we jump into the how-to, we need to be absolutely crystal clear on the what. What is human resource management really trying to accomplish?
You know, at its heart, the entire goal of HRM is to bring in what our source material calls appropriate human resources. It's a simple idea, really. It means finding people who make real, valuable contributions to the company's big picture goals. And the flip side of that, of course, is what you'd call inappropriate human resources. Those who, well, don't. The entire blueprint we're about to break down is designed to find, develop, and hang on to the first group.
Okay, let's get into our first real action step: recruitment. This is all about attracting and then screening a supply of potential employees. Think of it like casting a wide but really smart net.
Now, you can't find the right people if you don't know exactly what and who you're looking for. That's why this part is so crucial. The job description is the what. It's a summary of all the tasks and activities the job involves. But the job specification, that's the who. It describes the kind of person who should be hired for that job, their skills, their experience, their traits. You absolutely need both to be clear.
So where do you find these people? Well, you've really got 2 main pools to fish from. You can look inside your own company, which is fantastic for morale and loyalty, or you can look outside, to competitors, to universities, you name it, and bring in fresh blood and new perspectives. The best companies, they do a strategic mix of both.
And this is such a great example of how recruiting is changing. I mean, look at Disney. They're not just throwing up a post on a job board. They're actively using social media to find people who are already fans, people who already get their culture. It's a super smart way to find candidates who are likely to be a great fit right from the get-go.
All right, so you've recruited a pool of really promising people. Awesome. Now for the hard part, selection. This is where you filter through those candidates to find the one. You could almost think of it as the audition phase. One way to get past just a gut feeling is through testing. An aptitude test tries to measure a person's potential. An achievement test, on the other hand, measures what they can already do. You've also got vocational tests to see if they're actually interested in the work, and personality tests to look for key traits like honesty. These can all provide some really valuable data points.
And then there's something called an assessment center. Now, it's really important to know this isn't a physical place. It's a program. It's where you put candidates into situations that mimic the real job, like group problem-solving exercises, and you just watch. It gives you a chance to see their skills in action, not just hear them talk about them in an interview.
So you made the hire, but the blueprint is far from over. In fact, one of the most important stages is next: training. This is all about investing in your people to unlock their full potential and turn a good employee into an absolutely great one.
When you boil it down, training is the process of making people more productive. But it's not just about, learning a new piece of software. It's about shaping behaviors, developing crucial skills, and ultimately helping employees contribute way more effectively to the company's mission. And good training isn't just random workshops. It's a really structured 4-step cycle. First, you have to figure out what skills are actually needed. Then, you design a program to teach those things. Next, you deliver the training. And finally, and this is key, you evaluate it to see if it actually worked. It's a continuous loop of improvement.
And that training can look very different. On-the-job training is learning by doing, right? Things like coaching from a manager or rotating through different roles. Classroom training, on the other hand, is more structured. It uses things like business simulations or role-playing to build skills in a more controlled, safe environment.
And that brings us to the final piece of our blueprint, the performance appraisal.
This is the absolutely critical feedback loop that keeps everyone on track and drives continuous growth, not just for the employee, but for the whole organization.
So, a performance appraisal is basically a structured review. You're looking at someone's past performance to see how their contributions have helped or maybe hindered the company's goals. It's all about providing clear, honest, and useful feedback.
So why even bother? Well, according to management expert Douglas McGregor, it really comes down to three big things. First, appraisals give you a fair basis for making decisions about promotions or raises. Second, they're a clear way to tell employees exactly how they're doing. And third, they create a perfect opportunity for coaching and development.
But, and this is a really big but, they have to be handled carefully. Appraisals can go sideways if they just feel like a reward-punishment system, or if they get bogged down in paperwork, or if people think they're unfair. The best ones always focus on constructive feedback and growth, not just on checking a box. So there you have it, the blueprint for building an amazing team. You start with strategic recruitment, you follow that with careful selection, then you invest in training to unlock potential, and you wrap it all up with ongoing appraisal to make sure everyone keeps growing. Which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. As our workplaces change with AI and remote work, which part of this very human blueprint is going to be the most critical one for organizations to master?